Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 212, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
We're recording in the middle of the week.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We used to have sort of the nighttime era when we were doing this, and then it became sort of the morning weekday era, and then there was sort of the weekend era.
Yeah.
So this is middle of the week morning. This is kind of new.
It's a little different, but one advantage of having to shelter in place is it's freed up where we need to be. So
yeah,
it's easier to jump on mic.
My 10 a.m.s can be for Zachy.
There you go. It is November 18th as we record this, and just for the sake of the historical record, we have a next president, although the current president has yet to admit that we have a next president. So that's what's currently happening. This is, Brian, this is like just bananas. We've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, this is the last thing we recorded. I remember also we were sort of keeping the historical markers recorded, and it's just kind of someday if I ever am in the retirement home with a blanket over my lap and I'm going through these again, it'll kind of be interesting to know when we were talking about this stuff.
It's just hilarious that, like, for 2.5 weeks or whatever, Donald Trump has every day tweeted, "I won the election."
It's so wild. And you just got to wonder, for someone who hates to lose, and he knows. He knows.
Yeah.
So, like, why would he put up this fuss only to have to make it a bigger deal when he finally does concede,
No. Oh, I absolutely get it, right? Because this is about being able to say, they're forcing me out, but you and me, we know that they stole this from me.
I see.
And that's not even me being like cynical conspiracy theorist. I mean, that's the MO.
Kind of the playbook, yeah.
Yeah. So right. I mean, this is just reading the facts as they exist. So it's in that sense, as far as him trying to lay the pipe for his next act. Hey, you know what? It's right in line, right?
Right.
I would say it's extremely bad for the country because of the fact that so many people who should know better are like, well, we don't know who the next president is. It's like, well, yeah, we do.
Yes, I know. I'm seeing some of that. You're like, really?
Yeah, and it's something that truly should transcend politics, because I'm genuinely, I'm not trying to come at this from a partisan perspective, but I'm just like, look, part of what makes this country work is every 4 years going through this process, and the person who loses being like, all right, well, I gave it my best shot, peace out, but we're all Americans. Like, that's just that, and I think maybe we just take it for granted because it's just always happened in our lifetimes.
Right. And then just what goes along with that, well, now this information is, we begin to share that with the next person so they can be in the loop, and it can be a smooth handoff, and
So it's kind of nuts. I mean, let's see how things play out. But at the very least, I'd mentioned, I think in our last episode, like, man, it's just the nerves of like, well, what's going to happen? And I just being candid, I'm breathing a little bit easier.
Yeah.
In at least one regard. Not to say things are going to get easier. I say this all the time. I say this to my students. I'm like, we're in an age now, thanks to social media, where facts are no longer facts. Facts are multiple choice. Mm-hmm. And that's objectively bad for any culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it means there's no point of agreement on things that you say, well, I wish it wasn't like this, but it is. This is what the data says. Well, if we're at a point where we can't even say, well, this is what the data says, that signals big problems. Yeah,
because then you get all the divisiveness, but you also start springing up cults.
Yeah,
So they have their facts in quotes, and the other one has their facts in quotes, and we all just sort of live in our little bubbles.
And the one thing I'll say about living in bubbles is we can at least have access to all kinds of movies on demand while we are in our bubbles. So what have you been watching?
And thank goodness for that.
You know what's funny, by the way, is the theaters had opened back up. At least here, right? I don't know about down
by
there.
you, yes, you mentioned that.
And so I was all excited. I was planning. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch something just cause. And I like Sunday night. I was like, you know, what's a good day? Maybe like Wednesday. I'll go see something. And then Monday night, we're told, nope, theaters are closing back up. So it was so close yet so far.
Yeah.
It's like in a dream where you're swimming towards the shore and it just keeps moving further and further.
Right,
That's me and going to the movies.
Yeah. Man, I know this is this is more like headline news, but there's just so many things going on with that, right? Where I feel like AMC said, I feel like this is right? Like they almost lost $1 billion in a quarterly report.
Wow.
And now there's all these deals being made about sharing profits between studios and VOD and theaters if they carry the film for what's now a severely truncated window. And it just feels like something that maybe we were heading there, 10 years from now or 15 years from now, but the timeline's been sped up because it had to be. But I don't know. It sort of, to me, felt like something that was maybe going to happen eventually when we get here. But now we are forced to be here, and I don't know. When we're on the other side of this, do they do something to make the windows larger again? Do they? Is this just the new normal? Is this what theaters are now? They get movies for 17 days or whatever it is, and then VOD, and they play simultaneously. I don't know.
I hate to be a grumpy cat, but I think the movie going era that has defined our lives is over forever.
Yes, I agree with that. And I know so many people want to just put their stamp on it and say that it's done. And I don't think it's done, but I think, like you said, what the era that we grew up with is done.
Yes.
What it is next remains to be seen and will happen in front of our eyes. But
I don't think movie theaters will go away. I don't think that'll ever happen. I do see movie theaters becoming the equivalent of like the stage. Where it's a little bit more niche, it's like vinyl. It's going to be like vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like when you watch a movie and someone wants to show someone a song and they put on the record, and it's kind of like the cooler way to show someone a song.
Right.
It'll be like in the movie, someone like, hey, do you want to go see that new movie? And they go to a theater. You're like, oh, cool. We're going to a
Right.
theater.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I see,
Yeah.
But regardless, speaking of old timey niche things.
Yeah, well, good setup, exactly, because I've actually been spending some time in the past with my movies. Not long ago, I read the book In Cold Blood by Truman Capote.
Sure.
Have you read it?
No, I haven't.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and it's one of those things. I'm kind of hot and cold on true crime stuff.
He admittedly, Capote was doing true crime way before it became a thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of invented a genre because it was a novel, but it was about a true event, and he just did all of his research and then, played it out like a narrative, sort of like we would on Serial or any of these sort of documentaries we see nowadays on Netflix and whatnot. But yeah, just in the last couple of years, I found myself like increasingly squeamish for some reason. More so than I used to be. And so I've just kind of gone away from a lot of the true crime stuff because it just bothers me knowing that this did happen.
Yeah.
It just kind of gets under my skin. But this book, it's like a look at this horrifying incident that, where this family was killed. But it's really about, you get to know the family a little bit, but then it's about the effect on the town and several specific people who are involved, chiefly the people who committed the crime, but also the people who are trying to solve the crime. And the book is just, I don't know, it's just so intelligently captures like this moment and this feeling, and it's written so eloquently. like place and setting was just so eloquently expressed. It was just really captivating, and it also at the same time just felt like exercise for my brain. Like it kind of reignited my like, man, I just want to read books again. You know? And so I was really taken with the book. So as a result of that, I ended up watching Capote, which was if you remember that was that movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yep.
I think 2005 that came out, and he won an Oscar for it. And
it was the same year as another Capote movie.
Yes, I think that was called Infamous, which I have not watched. I probably will, though. But, it was kind of like the Dante's Peak volcano. You know?
Or the Wyatt Earp, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, this is the Capote double feature.
They're having a Capote off.
Capote off, yeah. But what was interesting about it is it's about Capote discovering this story and then researching the book. So what we read about in the book, you see him interacting with these people because he doesn't insert himself into the story so much.
Right.
But now we get to see, oh, well, he did this and he decided if he said this thing or presented this little bit of, you know, what am I trying to say? Like he barter this with someone, maybe he'll get them to talk. And then they tell this story and I go, oh, I remember that from the book. Like that's how he got them to tell that story.
Okay.
So you start to, you know, recognize lines or major incidences.
But is it like Bohemian Rhapsody style where it's like
no way, decades from now, will there ever be a film where people bob their heads?
No teenagers will ever. Yeah.
No. It's very, very subtle. And, you know, along those lines, I actually wasn't sure how this movie would play for someone who wasn't familiar with the book or had any interest in it. Because for me, I was like, I just wanted to know everything because I had this whole universe in my head and I wanted to see, you know, how he got these anecdotes and whatnot. But I don't know. I'd be curious how it would play for someone who knew nothing of it. And is the stakes of the movie, like, will he get this interview? What does that mean if he doesn't? Like, I don't know how that would play.
Yeah.
For me, I know a lot of my interest in it was just recognizing the things that I had just read about.
I see.
But having said that, Philip Seymour Hoffman is incredible. I mean, he takes on this really high-pitched voice and sort of affectations that are just very not him. And I think it takes a minute to let him dissolve into the character because you know him so well and he's got that voice,
right,
kind of a thing. But yeah, by the end, I mean, he was Capote, and I really dug it, and it felt like for me a proper wrap up to the universe I just spent so much time in.
Well, so folks, if you've been waiting 15 years to hear whether you should watch Capote,
yes,
here's Brian from 2005.
Yes. You know what was interesting was I had the book To Kill a Mockingbird on my nightstand for like 3 years. Like I was in a bookstore, saw it for $8. I was like, I'd like to reread that. I haven't read that since high school. And so in a crazy coincidence, I didn't even know this. So in Cold Blood by Truman Capote, he had Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird. She went along with him to this town and did a heavy amount of research for his book. So much so that she was in fact frustrated with him because she was not credited. She thought she should have been credited along with him as a co-author of the book.
Wow.
And so along those lines, they actually, not only were they best friends, they grew up together. And in To Kill a Mockingbird, the character of Dill, the boy who visits every summer and stays with his relatives, is
Capote?
Based on Truman Capote.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just funny because that was the book I just naturally went to next because it was there on my stand. And then in doing all my Wikipedia dives about the books, I was like, get out of here.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was so crazy. But she's also a character in Capote. She's played by Catherine Keener, so that was kind of cool to see. But anyway, so I reread To Kill a Mockingbird. Really enjoyed it all over again. It made me wish I could go see that Aaron Sorkin play because I know he
I really want to
kind of did a like a modern take on it. And I mean, it still takes place in the past, but I think it's like a re-examination of the same story.
Well, and just the idea of Jeff Daniels and or Ed Harris playing Atticus Finch.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Yes. Yeah, I so wish that I would really wish I could see that. I was even going to go look and see if it was online somewhere because I know they had been posting some.
Yeah.
I mean, of legal means, like they've been posting some stage plays, but probably not that one, I imagine. But anyway, so I reread the book, really enjoyed it, but I had never seen the film. And so I really wanted to check that out, and it was really cool. It was cool. So, movie from 2005, 1965.
Brian is in his DeLorean just bouncing through film history.
Yeah, but
hey guys, I saw this movie, Citizen Kane. It's like, have you heard of this?
It's like pretty great. It might even be the best movie of all time.
I don't care who I piss off, guys.
It's like I watch Mank first, and then I'm like, dude, you know there's a movie that supports this David Fincher movie? Which, by the way, that is on my list because I haven't seen Citizen Kane in a long time, and I'm looking forward to Mank.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward
That's another episode. But no, it was really cool seeing the world that I just been immersed in come to life, and it was really interesting. Have you both read the book and seen the movie?
Oh yeah.
So it was I finished the book that day and watched the movie. It almost felt like watching the story on fast forward. Inevitably, right? I mean, you just can't have everything that's in the book. That's the case always, book to movie. But it felt sort of hurried to me and like a little slighter, and it's funny because I just know that's just the way it has to be. But then I wondered, like, well, does it stand on its own, or do you need to have the book to support all the things in the background that it's not presenting to me? But then I was like, wait, no, this movie is like a beloved classic, so obviously it works on its own.
Right.
But it was just kind of a fascinating experience, and I seeing what Boo Radley looks like, finally. That was kind of interesting. That's Robert Duvall.
He looks like Tom Hagen.
Right. But then, and I've met Robert Duvall one time on a movie I worked on, and it was just wild. I was like, oh, dang, he's been like doing this all the way since back then. And
isn't that crazy?
Boo Radley's crazy. But
that was like his first movie, wasn't it?
Yes, or at least speaking part.
Okay.
He might have been in one other thing. I can't remember. I went on IMDb about it, but anyway. So To Kill a Mockingbird, I'm going through like basically a high school.
I know it's like.
Yeah.
No, I just want to point out. I mean, Gregory Peck is so iconic in that role.
So I can't even picture anyone else. He's so good.
Yeah, and the characterization of Atticus Finch is so. I mean, he existed on the page before Gregory Peck embodied him, and yet, as you said, like it's just the two are married together in a way that is just indelible.
I think I had him in my head before I had even seen the film, just from maybe some sort of Oscar
osmosis
clip or something. Like a white suit and that sort of deep voice. I read that Jimmy Stewart was up for it, or they wanted him, and he didn't want to do it. But I was like, no, like it's you need someone with a little more booming authority or something.
Yeah, it's this is like, as we talk about this, it takes me back to watching the movie in high school, and the pit, when the mob like shows up at their house, at Atticus' house, and
or at the court or the cell.
Atticus is right at the cell, and Atticus is standing watch, and Scout is like, "Hey, Mr. Cunningham."
Yeah,
I said, "Hey, Mr. Cunningham," my friend in high school, his name was Dan Perry, and he found that so funny that basically for the next 2 years of high school, whenever I would see him in the hall, I'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Cunningham."
Really?
And here's the best thing: like 3 years ago at our high school reunion, I see him. He's like a principal of a high school now. He sees me, he's like, "Hey, Mr. Cunningham."
Are you serious?
Isn't that great?
That is bravo. That is hilarious.
Oh,
I
man.
salute him. That is really funny that he's kept that up all these years.
Kept that runner going, you know? But there we go. Okay, so folks, you little leaguers out there, if you haven't seen To Kill a Mockingbird and Capote,
Yeah, there you go. Well, bring it into the 21st century, but not.
yeah, right.
I also watched The Queen's Gambit.
You know,
Which
you are
takes
the
place
you are
in the 50s and 60s.
you-
Clearly, I'm just stuck in this era right now in terms of my entertainment.
You are the third person today to talk to me about the Queen's Gambit, because I've taught 2 classes since morning, and one person in each class is like, by the way, the Queen's Gambit. So,
Oh, really? Well, did they like it or?
they seem to.
Okay, yeah. So I saw a trailer for this like a month ago. Isn't that kind of another fascinating thing, by the way? The way there used to be, if a movie was coming out, you would have an ad for during the Super Bowl in February, and then it would be, oh, but this is coming out in summer, and there was this sort of window that we all worked within, and marketing was like, this is how it works, and this is how we get people hooked. But now there'll be a trailer. I'll be like, oh, that looks interesting. They're like, next week, and I'm like, oh. all right. I think it has to do with attention span, plus it's going to be beamed into my house, so I don't need to make plans. I don't know. It's just the things I notice.
Yeah,
anyway,
no,
so,
I hear you.
now, so Queen's Gambit, I thought the trailer looked good, and my brother actually, he watched it off me being interested in the trailer, and I was like, I'll get to it. And I went over to his place one night, and he sat me down. He's like, no, you're watching this. So I was like,
Really?
okay. Yeah, so watched the first episode, and when it ended, I was like, wow. Like, I exhaled when it was over. Like, I'd finally exhaled. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I love this. And basically, it's the very, very brief logline is it's about an orphan who discovers that she's a chess prodigy. But she also suffers from a lot of addiction issues, and it's just kind of her journey and the people she meets along the way. And this all happens, like I say, in the 50s and 60s. So I won't say too much because as I was halfway through, I started hearing people talk about it on podcasts, and they would be like, "Oh man, I hated it when this happened." I was like, "Don't do that." I kind of enjoyed going through the journey. But I will address one of the criticisms I've heard of it, and I don't think it's flawless, by the way, but I did think it was very, very good, and I really enjoyed it. But one of the criticisms I've read is that it meanders, and that it, maybe could have been an episode or 2 shorter.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, it could have, but I think having just read 2 books where I really did get sort of immersed in them and just loved sort of swimming through this other reality, this series to me felt like a book come to life, and it is based on a book from like 1983. It's not a true story, which you could think it feels like it could be, but it isn't. But obviously shows and movies have their own sort of structures for a reason. But sometimes like a show like Mad Men or Breaking Bad, the way that those shows were executed, and what I love, particularly Mad Men, I think, is it gives a lot of time to smaller moments, like quiet moments when the character's alone and not a lot happens, but it's like, what do they do in those quieter moments? So the bigger moments, that person even more, and I feel like then some of these moments feel more explosive just because we're so familiar with the character. So to me, this felt sort of like a book. In the best way. And I can understand why for other people that might not be the tempo that they want.
Okay.
So, but I will say, there was one episode also that did feel a little undercooked. It's like, I so badly want to talk more at length about it. But
okay.
That said, when you get to the ending, I was very, very satisfied. When it ended, I was actually sad that it was over and that I wouldn't get to dip back into that universe again. I really enjoyed existing in it and watching Anna Taylor-Joy, who I know she's been in the Split, the Shyamalan movie Split, and a handful of other things. She's just so she has these enormous eyes, and it's all about her thinking. So it's perfectly suited where you're just watching her figure things out on a chessboard, studying her opponent, being offended but not trying to show that she's offended, and she just is so expresses so much by doing so little, and you just get really endeared to this character. And it's like things I can't say. But other characters she meets along the way, some better than others, but some of them I just really, really became endeared to and loved. And yeah, I loved it. It's actually one of those things I could see myself a year or two from now watching again, which I don't think I would say about very many Netflix series.
Look at that. So, high praise about The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, I really dug it. So I'd be curious. I want to talk about it with people. So if you check it out, let me know. Or if people want to write in and tell me what they thought.
I suspect a few of the people listening have seen it, and maybe they will pipe in our Facebook page.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Well, I'm one to talk about, like, you watching all this old stuff, Brian. Cause,
right.
I've been watching NYPD Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And hot damn, is this a good show?
Really?
It is so good. It's good, not in a, like, well, it's the 80s, and so you have to sort of couch that. Like, oh, they used to just, like, let shots linger forever.
Mm-hmm.
Or the performances were stilted because that's just how it was. No, it's just a really good show. I mean, one advantage of being ahead of your time when you come out is that you retain a certain amount of stylistic verve decades later, and that's we my wife and I, we just wrapped up the first season last night.
Yeah.
So the famous story of David Caruso starring in the show, he bolted after the first season.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
This dumbass right here. Think about this for a second. He was making $20,000 an episode in the first season. Okay.
Wow.
And you say, all right, well, it's this hit show, all this buzz, all these nominations, and he's a star. He's not out of line to say, I'd like a raise, right? I think that's reasonable.
Yep.
So he's making $20,000 an episode. He says, I want $100,000 an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come back and they say, we'll go as high as 80.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he says, no dice. If you want me showing my ass, I want, 40 additional grand per cheek. Or no sale. And so he did like 4 episodes in the second season just to write out his character, and then he bolted into the wilderness of unemployment for like 10
And he
years.
made Jade.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. He's like, I got people want to make movies with me,
Right.
And then he made like 3 movies that nobody watched. And I mean, again, to his credit, he came back hat in hand, 10 years later with CSI, and he did okay. But the point is, like, it's fascinating on any number of levels because the all the actors talked about how, like, the whole energy level changed once he left.
Really?
Because he was kind of an asshole.
Oh.
And Bobby Simone, the new character played by Jimmy Smits, Jimmy Smits comes on and he, he's just a nice guy.
Mm-hmm,
and just everything changed. And I kid you not, Brian, since I was a kid, like, I remember this all playing out. From then to now, I've carried that warning with me forever. Which is when somebody's offering you $80,000 per episode, you take it. No, don't be an asshole, right? Like, like that. I mean, bottom line is that, like, if you're doing good work or even mediocre work, but you're easy to deal with, then people will want to work with you.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
That is the story of my life. It's a lot of mediocre work turned in on time. That's why I'm able to keep working.
But people smile when they see you.
There you go. I mean, seriously, it's tangentially connected. I was looking at a video of Hank Azaria talking about how he was talking about his Simpsons voices, and he was mentioning how originally Hank Azaria was not the voice of Mo the bartender. Right. I don't know. I had forgotten that.
Yeah, same.
But he talks about how he asked him, he's like, "What, you didn't like the original voice?" And they're like, no, it was great. He was doing a great job. Well, why didn't you keep him? Oh, he was a dick.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Right? And Hank Azaria is saying this. He's like, if that guy, like, he could have been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah, millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I mean, isn't that something?
Yep.
And so I mean, that's the lesson to me is like, man, just like do your job, show up on time, be nice to people.
Yeah. It gets no one nothing
Yeah.
to behave that way. Yeah.
But regardless, so NYPD Blue, it hasn't quite filled the ER void yet.
Sure.
But I love it. I've loved it always, but I'm gradually trying to get my wife on board. Dennis Franz, right, is really the heart and soul of this show. And I think what this series did with this character, I mean, Dennis Franz is not a particularly handsome man. I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say. He's kind of dumpy looking and he's unpleasant and he's just he's just like a regular guy. He's like somebody you'd see on the streets of Chicago, right?
Sure.
And I think what this show really did was it's an 12-year redemption arc for this character.
Ah, okay.
And it's so masterful. The first thing he does on the show, like before in the cold open of the first episode, is he has an argument with this female attorney and she throws some Latin at him and he's like, "Ipsy this, you pissy little bitch," and he like pulls his crotch, and then
yeah.
and then credits, and so that's your introduction to this really unpleasant guy,
right?
And the way Dennis Franz makes you love this character, I think it's amazing. I don't think there's anything comparable on television like that,
Right.
So really, just like going on that journey, I think has been worth it.
Okay, man. Yeah, it feels like something I might enjoy.
It's weird because it feels like an artifact, right? Because it arrived in this nexus where we were transitioning into the age of peak TV, and we want something more from our cop shows and whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And so you have these cops who are more complicated, and they're human beings with foibles and whatever, right?
Right.
Sipowicz is kind of borderline racist and whatever. But the thing that appeals to me now, this many decades later, is that they are still good people. They are still trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And, you contrast that with something like, for example, The Shield, let's say, right?
Right, all these anti-heroes.
Yeah, and I love The Shield. I think it's a great show, right? But
sure.
Vic Mackey, played by Michael Chiklis, he's a bad guy.
Right.
So it's a show about a bad guy. Breaking Bad, you don't admire Walt, I don't think, certainly by the end of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point. And then speaking of Mad Men again, he was kind of an anti-hero also. Like, you kind of like him because he's the protagonist, so to speak. He's the guy we're following, but he does some really despicable things.
Yeah, right, exactly, right? So those, like, that's the age we're in now. And you almost long for sort of the simpler time of like, no, it's like these are complicated people, but they're just trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There is something nice about that. Maybe that is old-fashioned,
But things are cyclical, and I think that was happening with comedy too, where there are all these shows like "You're the Worst," "We're Dickheads," just like every show is just like, oh, it's about a bunch of jerks navigating their way through the world,
right?
And that was such a trend for a while, and I can just see. I never got into it. I'm like, I don't want to spend time with these people, but that we had that moment, and now I wonder if we'll get back to a moment about, well, like sort of like a This Is Us or something, right? Where it's like, well, good people trying to make their way through the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's I think the anti-hero works for a limited run thing. I think you get like 5 years, 6 years out of that.
Right.
And then it's, again, we use Breaking Bad as an example all the time. Like, that is the story of a good man who becomes a bad man. Mm-hmm. But, it ended exactly where it needed to end.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of Breaking Bad, actually, Dean Norris showed up several times in the first season of NYPD Blue.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like 28 or something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because he could be 28 or 56. Once you go prematurely bald, that's it. You
have a look. I know he's in Terminator 2. He's one of the SWAT guys, and he looks just like he does now. And he pops up in a lot of action films in the 90s.
He I knew who he was long before Breaking Bad. Because of this. Because he's like, hey, that guy.
Right.
It's just, but he was young. He's like in his 20s. It's very funny.
Wow.
Also, I've been watching, speaking of television shows that began in fall of 1993.
Oh, wow. What a coincidence.
Yeah, just by chance. The X-Files I have started watching again.
Ah, I never watched the X-Files.
Yeah, this seems like a not Brian Hall show.
Oh, really? It's at the time it felt like something I should be into, but I just wasn't.
I think you would enjoy it, but it seems like a show you would not have watched. So
okay, yeah.
I suspect you would enjoy it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I've been watching it with my kids, which has been fun. Because my oldest is like exactly the same age I was when the show started.
Wow,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched it very much at all since it aired. So for me, it's pretty much the first time for a lot of this stuff in terms of my memory. But I remember writing an article about it in my high school paper.
Oh, really?
Being like, you got to check out this show. It's pretty good. Nobody's talking about it. And
Oh, how funny.
So that's kind of nice. This past weekend, actually, my oldest kid, he went camping. With my wife. I think I've talked about this before. I don't like camping. I went camping. I went 5 years ago. That ended badly for all concerned. I was like, well, I'm never doing that again ever.
Right.
And so my wife's like, I want to go camping. I'm like, go for it. Go nuts.
Yeah. So that's perfect.
So she took it. By the way, it's nice. Except my wife coming back from the campground. Like she's like used to sleeping early now because like it goes, obviously at like 5 p.m. the sun sets, and so she's like my timings have shifted now. Like I want to go to sleep early. You go out there in the woods, it changes you, man. You don't come out the same. I'm like, all right, Rambo, relax. It's very funny.
I love that. That's great.
But they had a great time. But anyway, so I watched a bunch of episodes with my other people living in the house. Yeah. And my oldest comes out. He's like, "Why'd you watch all those without me?" So he's into it now.
That's cool.
But he also knows he's not. He's not essential in the mix, so that's good. Keeps him on his toes. It
hasn't been said, but it's been made clear.
We exchanged a look. He knows. No, but I said this on social media. I'm like, this show, because we watched the pilot, they struck oil right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And they
between what, like the cast and the premise
plus cast plus it's just alchemy, right? You just don't know.
Right.
It was sort of the right show at the right moment.
Yeah. 90s was sort of like peak Alien.
Yeah. The paranoia.
Sort of conspiracy theory. Like you had Alien Autopsy and Fire in the Sky and Independence Day. And
that Alien Autopsy shit, right? Fox was wheeling that out like every other week.
Yeah. And can you imagine that now? Like Fox being like, this Thursday, we got an alien and we're going to cut it open. Right? I can't believe I was a kid, so there was still enough youth with me to be like, I know it's fake, but I don't want to look at it. Like I wonder now as an adult if you're like, oh.
What was funny is they aired like the special, and then they're like Alien Autopsy Extended, and it was like they kept coming back. I'm like, how many of these bodies you got lying around, guys?
Right.
And I remember because we were kids at the time, but we knew enough. And Jonathan Frakes was the host of this thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Jonathan, I hope you enjoy the addition you put on your house with this blood money that Fox gave you, because.
And as the construction workers are like sawing through wood, he's like, "I'm sorry, what's that?" Zachy, are you saying something?
I said, I hope you burn in hell. So yeah, we're about like a season into that. I'm enjoying that. And related to the X-Files, only because of David Duchovny, I also this weekend watched for the first time ever a movie called Evolution.
Yeah, I remember this. Somehow I remember the logo for this, which was the iconic smiley face, but with 3 eyes.
Yes.
That's all I know. I've never seen it either. Well, that's not technically true now. We can get into that. But, okay. Real quick, I'll just say it. Zachy watched it. He mentioned it on Facebook or something. And one night I was like, wow, like a 90s movie directed by Ivan Reitman I've never seen. It sounds like exactly what I'd like to watch right now at 8:30 on a Tuesday. So I started it up, and about 30 minutes in, I had this thought, I don't have to do this. And I turned it off.
And I had the best sleep of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was totally one of those things. Like, this is, my Voodoo library at this point. I just accumulate it, movies into it. Like, some people go to the like Target or whatever, and they'll stop by the greeting card section and they'll just buy cards. You never know when you need a card. That's me with my Voodoo library.
Okay, this is kind of illuminating for me as one who browses it.
It truly, it's like, yeah, because you'll probably see random stuff show up and be like, the hell, right? and it's literally one of those things where sometimes they'll have like a mix and match deal or something, and I'm like, well, I don't want to watch that right now, but like 18 months from now, at 3 p.m. on a Sunday, maybe, and so that's how Evolution ended up in there.
Yeah.
And that moment arrived this past Saturday night because I was, the boys who I was home with wanted to watch something. And I was like, well, like, what's here? What's something kind of in their range? And I was like, oh, they've been watching the X-Files. They like it. And I've never seen this thing. And for those of you who don't know, who are like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it's Ivan Reitman directed. It's a movie that tries to do with aliens what Ghostbusters did with the paranormal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And the problem is, it's trying so hard to do that.
Yeah,
that it's just right out there on Front Street. Now the interesting thing, and it stars Evolution stars David Duchovny, who of course is known from the X-Files, so a little bit of typecasting going on there. But this lets him be like more comedic. I mean, they try to give him the Bill Murray role.
Oh man,
right?
I can't believe I didn't see it, but yes, absolutely.
Right. But the problem is, I think Ghostbusters works because Peter Venkman is the only Peter Venkman.
Yeah. His friend, Orlando Jones.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're both sort of trying to be comedic.
Yes. And the shame of it, I think Orlando Jones is really funny in this.
I was just thinking, when I was watching it, like, he's such a great presence. Why isn't he in more stuff?
More stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this movie started out as a serious pitch. It's actually kind of interesting. When I was going to Columbia College in the early 2000s, my screenwriting instructor was writing partners with the guy who came up with the story. His name is
funny.
Yeah, Don Jacoby is like the guy who wrote the story. So I remember him telling us about, he's got this movie coming out next year called Evolution. And so Reitman gets a hold of it and he comedicizes it.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of friction is very evident.
Yeah. I was telling Zachy off air, the reason they have these like beats, like dup ba dup the joke, dup ba dup ba joke, but the jokes aren't very funny, and it sort of frustrated me because I was like, man, if you're gonna make a movie, I mean, only X amount of movies come out a year, and you're gonna have this movie, and it's a comedy, it comes out in the summer, make it funny, like don't give up. Don't just say like this. Don't put placeholder jokes or like have them just go and think that's a joke. Like, make a joke. It was starting to frustrate me, actually.
Yeah, it's hard to explain because the thing is also, when I posted about this on Twitter and Facebook, I saw a whole bunch of people chime in like, man, I love this movie to pieces.
Yeah, sorry.
And so so I'm kind of like, I get it. Like, I think just to be clear, there are a lot of really funny lines.
Admittedly, I didn't get super far in.
You got about half an hour in. I mean, there's stuff where you're like, it's like, I can see that being a quotable line.
Yeah. Right. And I do want to actually say the premise is really interesting. I thought it was kind of cool. It's this asteroid or meteorite or whatever it is breaks up and lands in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. And then these geologist professors from a community college basically go to check it out, and they see there's this goo coming out and there's cells that are splitting, and life is sort of starting, and it's just like, what does this mean? That's like super intriguing.
Yes.
So that's as far as I got. No, that's not true. I saw when it was like creates its own ecosystem is about where I got.
Yeah, so it's like that Simpsons, where Lisa.
Yes, that's what I thought of that. Yeah,
it's totally that. And it's totally like the movie ended, and like half an hour later, I couldn't describe the plot to you. Like it's like vapor in my head. That being said, I don't regret having watched it.
Right.
So I get, like, for whatever that's worth. You know, my clearest memory of the film, honestly, this is like one of those things where it's like a repressed memory and then it comes back out. At the time it came out, Sean Coyle and Paul Shirey were rooming together. And they were going to go see this. And I was actually very excited to see this because you say, oh, well, it's an Ivan Reitman thing. And, you know, whatever. It looks, you know, it's another Ghostbusters. And so when they went to see it, and I missed my opportunity to see it with them. I had something else going on. And so I'm like, hey, how was the movie? And Sean's like, it was awesome. And Paul is like, you missed out. And just for a week, they're talking about how great it was. And no, Brian. It turns out this was all their elaborate scam to make me go see it because they hated it.
Wow, that's diabolical.
Right? So those two friggin' assholes. It didn't work, clearly, because it took me, 19 years. But that's like my repressed memory. I don't even know if Paul Shirey remembers this anymore. But that's a real thing.
You've got to reach out to him and tell him that.
That's a real thing that happened.
Joke paid off.
So yeah, there's my belated review of the movie Evolution.
Yeah, and maybe I should finish it. Maybe I'm not giving it a fair shot. I think, it was like Julianne Moore's in it, and her whole shtick is that she just falls a lot.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah.
That's you're not kidding, right? It's such a weird, like, non-role for somebody like Julianne Moore.
Yeah, but you saying that at first it was a serious film, and then they twisted it into a comedy. It's sort of like, just add, like, she falls in, like, every other action line for her. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. That actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. There you go. So let's take another little break, and we'll come back and talk some listener letters. And we are back, and we have some listener letters here, Brian.
Cool.
So this is from Jeff, who sent me a message on Twitter. And really, this is kind of directed at you because you are a video game person.
Oh.
So he wants to get your thoughts on... He's heard you talk about Uncharted,
yes.
But The Last of Us, that is a game that you have enjoyed.
Yes.
And so what are your thoughts on the sequel?
Oh, man. Well, sorry. Jeff's going to be disappointed because I have not played it yet. I was very much looking forward to it. I loved The Last of Us. It was almost one of those things also where it was so good. You ever watch a movie that's so good you almost don't want to watch it again? Because you just want to leave it as this kind of perfect little moment. So I was a little nervous about the sequel. And then there was all this sort of buzz around it about how oppressively bleak it was. And not just people in fan communities, but critics saying that they did not have a good time playing the game. Like, they're like, this was not fun. This put me in a bad mood. But it's good. So I was reading so much of that, and I think just in that moment when that game came out, that wasn't something I was in the mood for. And it doesn't mean I've completely written it off, that I won't get to it. I just wasn't in the mood for something so aggressively depressing. And so, yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I intend to. I know someday I will eventually get to it. But did Jeff say what he thought of it?
Yeah, he says that it's obviously the second game was controversial.
Yeah,
because people felt like it dispensed with the things people liked about the first one. But he's quite happy with it. He says The Last of Us Part 2 does as much an effective job at setting the stage for its third and final act the way that Empire Strikes Back did for Star Wars.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So there you go.
Well, it reminds me, off the top of my head, I can't think of it, but just certain movies where you're like, I'm not in the mood for that today, but I know I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
And you just have to wait for that right moment. Like a movie like Lion or something, right?
Sure, yeah.
You just know it's going to wreck you. And I'm just not in the mood to be wrecked. But someday I'm going to be ready to watch a really well-crafted work of art. And so I think that's kind of how I feel about this game. I just haven't been there yet, but man, I'm happy for the recommendation though, and to know that it does a good job of continuing the story in a way that feels like it lives up to the first one.
See, cool. For me, it's as much as I have an affinity for the zombie genre, I don't know that I want to live in a zombie apocalypse, and so that's why I've sort of shied away from The Last of Us.
Not put yourself into that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been playing the new Spider-Man game for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Miles Morales. And if you like the first one, I don't see why you wouldn't like this one. It continues the story.
I loved the first one. I've bought this, but I'm saving it for next week, the week of Thanksgiving, when I'm a little less busy.
Yeah, it's the gameplay and stuff is basically the same. I haven't gotten very far because I'm getting my ass kicked by this. I honestly, I envy you for having just played PlayStation all this time, because I feel like I'm coming in as an old man, and it's challenging,
Do you find though, and I agree, it takes like a minute. I remember my brother, I don't think I would have ever bought me one, but my brother got me one for Christmas one year, and he got me that and Uncharted. And probably why those games are good, but that's probably why I'm especially endeared to them, because that was my new introduction to video games and what they could be.
Oh, okay.
And I think it took me a minute because there's more buttons and, but I find with really well designed games, you figure it out and then you just stop thinking and your hands just do what they're supposed to. Yeah. I don't know if you find that, but
no, yeah, it takes a little, like new, you have to form new muscle memory, kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
But just playing the game, first of all, I really appreciate how this Spider-Man PlayStation verse is like its own thing. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not reliant on movies or anything like that. It's doing its own take on this. And then, you're playing as Miles Morales. And I don't know, I just had this thought. I'm like, how cool is it that, like, for kids, like my kids, just like, yeah, Miles Morales, like Peter Parker and Miles Morales. Like, he's Spider-Man.
Totally.
And that's not a thing that is in any way controversial for them.
Yep.
And I admire that we're at a place where that can happen, and what that means for brown kids,
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, I like it so far. It's like I said, you played the first game, it ends with Miles getting bitten by the spider. Mm-hmm. So this picks up like however many months after that, and it's like during the course of the game, Peter has to leave town, so it's up to Miles to sort of take it over. But there's a whole story there. I enjoy it. I suspect you like it. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I loved the first Spider-Man game, but I also I found swinging over New York just soothing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
The city is so incredibly realized to such impeccable detail that I was like, I want to go over to Central Park, and I just swing over there, and it's like the geography was more or less, accurate, and I got to walk around Central Park a little bit. Like it's just really cool. And then there's a game too,
right.
You can kind of, and there's these little pocket missions, people that need help, and you can help them out. But then there's also the broader, main mission at hand as well. And it's just, I don't know. It's amazing what games are these days, considering we came from Pac-Man and Mario Bros.
It's crazy. Yeah, exactly. It blows me away constantly.
Yeah.
Here's another letter. This is from Nick, who emailed us at moviefilmpodcast.com, and the timing was fortuitous because it arrived shortly after our Waterworld commentary. He says, "Hi guys, my name's Nick, and a while back I stumbled across a movie I had never heard of. It completely blew me away, and so ever since I've been desperately trying to convince everyone across movie fandom to give it a shot and hopefully drag it out of complete obscurity. The movie is called The Beast of War from 1988, directed by Kevin Reynolds."
Ooh.
Starring George Zunza, Jason Patric, and Stephen Bauer. It was only released on 2 screens across the whole of the U.S. by Columbia Pictures, and I kid you not when I say this is the best Hollywood film you've never heard of.
Oh my gosh!
So I read Kevin's, I read Nick's note, and I was like, well, Kevin Reynolds.
Yeah,
we like Kevin Reynolds.
We like Kevin Reynolds around here.
in this here country,
Yeah.
in this here neck of the woods. So I found it on Vudu, and I checked it out, and I got to tell you, Brian, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Really? Okay. I will definitely watch that this week.
It's I think it helps to go in with the expectations like this is just like a movie I've never heard of, because let's face it, you haven't heard of it.
Right.
Right. And I didn't have a sky high expectations, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think it's a very engaging film. I see no reason why you wouldn't end up having a good time with it.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like something now that Queen's Gambit is done, I've been looking for something to start.
Okay.
And I have the hardest time starting television shows, so I just watch movies.
Well, there you go.
This is perfect.
Well, with that, let's take another break and come back and talk some headlines. And we are back, and here's some sad news, Brian, just to start us out. Michael J. Fox, he has a new book out.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's out making the rounds, and he says that he is retiring again from acting.
Yeah, he had shown up in many things, after he had come out with his diagnosis, and what was it, like Scrubs and like Boston Legal, right? Like,
well, he was starring on Spin City at the time.
Right.
And then he did maybe another season, a season and a half before he left.
Right.
And that was kind of his first retirement.
Right.
And then he has truthfully never stopped working over the last 20 years.
Yeah, he was like in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and
That's
he had
right.
his own show on NBC for a little bit there, and yeah, it seemed like he was keeping busy.
Yeah, so
with acting.
The book is called No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality, which just the title is friggin' depressing to me.
I was just gonna say, I just kind of got a lump in my throat.
Yeah,
hearing
you know?
just the title. Yeah.
So here's the quote. He says, "There's a time for everything, and my time of putting in a 12-hour workday and memorizing 7 pages of dialogue is best behind me." He says he's thinking of this as a second retirement. Though there's still a chance things could change. He says, "If this is the end of my acting career, so be it."
Wow.
Which, I mean, if nothing else, the mere fact that he is talking about it in these terms really does drive home the fact that his illness is reaching a point where it has to be front and center, not only in terms of his thinking, but all of us as we think about Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, and it's like I say, he's kept up with the acting, but he's also done so much with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's remained very active. Like, he hasn't just sort of drifted away and kind of kept to himself. I mean, he's kept very, very active. So if he feels then that the acting thing it's had its time and puts that away, we know he's still. It's cool he's putting out these books. It's cool that he's got this foundation, which has done so much. I hope he continues to find fruitful things to continue enjoying his life.
I mean, he was first diagnosed on the set of Doc Hollywood, which was like 30 years ago.
Right.
So 30 years later, the fact that, and I mean, the prognosis from Parkinson's is not, especially long, right? So the fact that he's been able to last this long, it says something about, the way he's chosen to approach it. And obviously, it helps that he's a big celebrity and he has access to treatments and things that other people would not. But I mean, the fact that he's, as you said, he's used the foundation as a vehicle to help others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there is a cure for this, it will be in no small part because of his efforts over the last 30 years, bringing awareness, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love that guy. I'd be curious to read the book.
I think for me, his like among his post Parkinson's appearances, the Curb Your Enthusiasm was probably my favorite.
Yeah, that was really funny
because they wove that. They let Larry be a total dick to him, even though like they made the Parkinson's part of the joke.
Yeah,
which I think is very funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of retirements, here's another semi-retirement coming.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, look at that.
He's stepping away from the late night talk show format. So not retiring completely, but he's been doing this since 1993. So when this his TBS contract runs out next year, 2021, it'll have been 28 years. I think he's the longest running late night talk show host.
Currently, yes.
Yeah, currently.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts because I remember when he first started on late night. I'm sure you do too.
Yep.
First of all, initially he was not very good.
He was wobbly, but
yeah.
he was quirky too, which I think is why I tuned in. Like he was sort of
it took him.
Jay Leno or Carson wasn't really my humor, but like Conan was.
Conan, I would say it took him about 4 months to find his footing.
Sure, yeah.
But certainly the early episodes were pretty rough.
Right.
And his lifespan on television was being measured in like 13-week increments, you know?
Yeah. They wouldn't give him a long-term contract. He had to keep earning it. Yeah.
You know, and so the fact that here we are nearly 30 years later and it's like, yeah, he's the elder statesman on television. That's remarkable, right? And it says something to me about the idea that, you know, you just keep doing your thing. And if it's of value and it you know, if there's worth in it, I have to couch that. Don't just keep doing your thing if you're like a sociopath or something. You know, do good things.
Right.
But the world will adapt around you.
Yeah, and it's just I was about to say this is the most fruitful time of his life. Maybe that is true, but I was going to say, I mean, what he did back in the 90s meant a lot to me. Mm-hmm. And he was changing, you know, the brand of comedy and late night and pushing it forward in a new and exciting way. And he did that on The Simpsons. He changed The Simpsons.
I was about to say, yeah, and I don't know if this speaks to you, but my experience is when I heard he was replacing David Letterman, I was like, oh, I know his name from The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. That was me.
Yeah.
Because he had a fairly unique name, and, you know, it sticks out. Conan O'Brien. That's weird. Right. So it stuck with me. So that style of humor is absolute. I mean, there is absolute connectivity from The Simpsons to what he did on late night.
Absolutely, and I mean, he's always been my guy, and I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah.
But what's been really cool is through the years, obviously, he's had his ups and downs, namely with the Tonight Show, but he's just found a way to continue being himself, and he keeps finding new ways to broaden his horizons. And then he has this. Well, he did the Conan Without Borders thing, which has been very successful and is really joyful and really fun to watch, where he goes to these other countries and, you know, he's being goofy and he lets the people in these other countries be goofy, and it just becomes this real sort of like global hug almost. Those are really fun to watch. And then, you know, with his podcast recently, which is it's very him, but it's also a new style of him where he gets this sort of long form interview format where it's his brain unleashed, and he'll just start going on these comedic riffs while he's doing these interviews. And I would say, I mean, they always make me laugh, but I'd say there's at least one huge gut laugh from me every episode. And then, you know, his assistant Sona has become sort of a new sidekick for him, and Matt Gorley, and they have a whole new dynamic to allow him to continue to flourish with whatever it is he does best. And so now what's going to happen next is he's going to have a variety series on HBO Max.
That's right.
I think it's going to be once a week. And I mean, if, you know, with all these other things that he continues to do that I continue to like, I'm like, great. I'd rather, if he's done all he can with late night formalities and format, then on to the next thing.
Well, I love the quote in his statement announcing this. He says, in 1993, Johnny Carson gave me the best advice of my career. As soon as possible, get to a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Which is such a Conan thing, right?
It's so Conan, yeah.
But I mean, he, you know, the nightly show, he has sort of wound it back to that half hour, and you could tell it was him kind of being like, just not sick of it, but just like, all right, well, how much longer am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you're not hosting the Tonight Show or, you know, the Late Show, like, you don't retire on that because it's just another late night talk show. Mm-hmm. And you have to imagine that was part of his calculus. Mm-hmm. Like, if he was still on Tonight, the Tonight Show, I mean, he wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Probably not.
right?
But you know what? I think it's better.
Yeah.
Frankly, I mean, he might disagree. Maybe there's some sort of legacy sort of thing that meant a lot to him. You know, like someone who never gets an Oscar, and you're like, yeah, but you made movies that everybody cares about. Who cares about the Oscar? But maybe an Oscar means something to you. You know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just think his output has been. It's amazing that after 28 years, he still feels fresh and fun, and so many people love him. I mean, doesn't happen often. So I hope he can enjoy that.
It's a little bit like, Letterman is like he's got that Netflix show now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's Letterman. I mean, he said as much, right? It's like he just wasn't feeling that grind anymore, like having to talk to people he doesn't know anything about and what,
Right.
Whereas here it's like, it's just him, somebody he considers interesting, and just having a conversation. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you get something interesting that comes out of that,
Right.
So yeah, I'm very curious to see what Conan has lined up next.
Yep.
What else we got going on, Brian?
Well, a lot of we've talked less and less about new releases because there haven't really been any.
There ain't none.
No, but and also when this whole pandemic thing sort of started back in March. Well, it didn't start in March, but when the world shifted like it did, we were like, well, what does this mean for concerts? Are people going to make movies again? How can we get a group of people together to make movies? But here we are, months later, and several movies have wrapped production, having pandemic productions, and Jurassic World Dominion was one of them. And man, I mean, it was kind of cool. They actually released some stats, and they did 40,000 COVID tests.
Good Lord.
During the shoot, and spent millions of dollars on protocols. They kept the cast and crew in bubbles for months, much like the NBA just recently did. And so it's amazing to think that any other movie could have the resources. I mean, it makes sense when you have this Jurassic Park Universal blockbuster thing. Like, well, of course they're going to kind of throw the money at this to accomplish this. But I mean, I just read this morning Scream 5 wrapped, Matrix 4
which is called, by the way, you know what the Scream 5 is called?
I do.
Scream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, and a sequel to Scream 1 through 4, Scream.
Right.
I don't understand any of this.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just they've life found a way, I suppose, but it hasn't been without its bumps. I mean, I think every single production we've heard, had to shut down.
Yep.
Someone tested positive. The Batman being a big one.
Yeah, Robert
Scream
Pattinson
shut down a couple times because of this.
Huh.
But then, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said Robert Pattinson was tested.
Robert, yeah. And then with Matrix 4 shut down at one point, and then they just wrapped, but there was some controversy over them wrapping because apparently, I haven't followed up on this, but what I read was it seems they had a wrap party, but they did it under the guise of a film shoot. So they were saying that they were shooting a party scene for the film, but people were like, I don't see any cameras. So that apparently is under investigation at the moment.
That to me, it's like that Simpsons where they're like, hey, look, they're shooting a movie. Robert Downey's having a shootout with the police. I don't see any cameras.
I don't see any cameras. Yeah.
That joke, by the way, means nothing now.
I was thinking I saw that not very long ago, and I wondered if like a kid now would be like, I don't get it. It's Iron Man.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, but I mean, how these things will be released remains to be seen. We'll see.
Well, TBD, I guess, right?
TBD.
Yeah. But the thing with the Matrix, like, do you guys need to have a rap party? Like,
Yeah, I gotta admit it kind of rubbed me the wrong way because, I mean, so many people are sacrificing so much that it almost feels like rubbing it in people's faces. People who are unemployed and going through something right now. But then I've seen people online raise a good point where they're like, well, why would it suddenly all be okay if this was for the film? Either it's okay to have this many people together or it's not. I was like,
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But something else I read I thought was kind of interesting was Quentin Tarantino. He had teased the idea that he was going to possibly get into writing novels, which I was very intrigued by because, obviously I like him as a filmmaker. His scripts are a lot of fun to read. His dialogue, he's known for his dialogue. So him writing prose, narrative prose sounded really interesting to me. But it just became official where he did a 2-book deal with HarperCollins. And the first book is actually going to be a movie tie-in for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I don't think anyone saw coming.
Right? Yeah, that's...
I had heard that he was going to do an original story, which was about like a World War II soldier who goes to Europe and discovers foreign films for the first time, which also has a log line. I wasn't sure how that would be narratively engaging for a whole book, but I was like, hey, if anyone can figure it out, it's Tarantino and I'm into it. Yeah. So when I saw that it was just going to be an adaptation of, Once Upon a Time, I was like, oh, all right. Huh. I think it's kind of cool. He said, he grew up reading movie tie-ins and he said they don't have a lot of respect, but I grew up reading them. I love them and I want to make one. And it reminded me, actually, Steven Spielberg did the movie tie-in for Close Encounters. It was the only book he's ever written. So, there's a little fact for you. But
I didn't know that either, to be honest.
But obviously, he said he's going to expand on it. It's going to have deleted scenes and things that weren't in the movie. It's going to go into the past. It's going to go into the future. And so... I'll admit it wasn't the first thing that I imagined I would want from him just because I've seen this story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm certain I'll check it out of curiosity. But then also the second book is already planned. It's going to be a nonfiction book called Cinema Speculation. And he's a huge Pauline Kael fan. So like her writing, he said it's going to be a deep dive into the movies of the 1970s with essays, reviews, personal writing. So, yeah. So kind of cool. I mean, I like I said, I don't mean to. I think it's cool. I'm very interested to see what a book by Quentin Tarantino looks like because I like his writing. But I'm also looking forward to maybe this is a new. He said he's going to do 10 movies and retire, and then if he gets into writing novels, I could see him being a novelist. That would be a lot of fun to read. So I hope maybe this kind of wets his whistle, and then he'll keep going, and maybe we'll see even more stories.
Well, speaking of high-quality Tarantino filmmaking,
yes,
let's talk about the reboot of The Scorpion King.
Yes.
There is no segue here. Now, here's the funny thing. So they are rebooting The Scorpion King, which, yes, that by itself is a funny thing, because we're that far along now where this is what we're doing, right?
Yes.
But I didn't know this. There were 4 sequels to the original Scorpion King.
I did not know that. I remember that was sort of a straight-to-video thing.
Yes.
At the time, Scorpion King 2, whatnot. I didn't realize they basically Tremors that thing. I didn't realize they got so many out of it.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, none of them had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And the first Scorpion King movie, by the way, I saw it in theaters when it came out. I went with Sean Coyle, in fact. And then
you tricked Paul Shirey into.
Yeah, we had a grand old. No, my recollection is we both enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I never seen it actually.
I mean, you know what I mean. It's you leave in the theater. It's you don't watch 4 made-for-video sequels after that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But obviously that launched Dwayne Johnson into his career, and my understanding is he's doing okay these days.
right.
That's the word on the street. So the fact that they kept going, I have absolutely zero interest in, because after finding out that there were 4 sequels, I was like, well, I want to see some of this, and then you see they got kind of vaguely Dwayne Johnson looking guy playing him, and it looks like they shot it on leftover sets from Hercules and Xena.
right.
And they got Lou Ferrigno and
seriously?
I'm not making that up. Lou Ferrigno. Who else?
Okay.
Michael Biehn. Oh, Michael Biehn. That's kind of sad. Rutger Hauer, one of his last roles.
Huh. Really? The Scorpion King series, huh?
Yeah. Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. He's a cool dude.
So the last one of these actually came out just 2 years ago, 2018.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah. It is the fifth, and I'm looking on Wikipedia. It's the fifth and final installment in the original The Scorpion King series. And now these are all prequels, I think.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'm reading the summary on Wikipedia, and I'm falling asleep reading it. But
well, and these are spin-offs from the Brendan Fraser Mummy series.
This is the weird. Like, think about this for a second. So the Brendan Fraser Mummy is itself a remake. So
yeah.
So you've got so that, like, at least the Scorpion King 2 is for sure a prequel to the first Scorpion King. So it's a prequel to the prequel to the sequel to the remake of that Boris Karloff movie from 1930 something. That is
the Cosmic Ballet. Goes on.
I mean, at this point, they are just up their own asshole about like 5 times, just looping around, you know?
I like that.
So anyway, they're bringing this back.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, there's been so many reboots announced this past. I mean, Chris Columbus even remarked on the Home Alone reboot, basically saying that's a bad idea, which I thought was kind of funny and candid.
Which is okay. So, real quick point there. First of all, yes, he's absolutely right. He's like, the first one still works, and why ruin that? Yeah. That being said, counter argument would be, okay, Chris Columbus, you made Home Alone 2, so sit your ass down.
Which basically is a remake of the first one,
right?
Yeah.
And then there's like 3 more.
Yes,
that are part. Like, I'm my thing, because people were getting upset about this new Home Alone. I'm kind of like, what makes this different from all those other ones?
You know, I wouldn't say I'm upset, but I do think it's a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I haven't seen the others. I one of them was even like a made-for-TV movie, you know, and I
like there's after 2,
yeah.
they made 3 more.
Wow.
One of which is about the Kevin McAllister character, but it's not Macaulay Culkin.
Huh.
The other 2 are just... I mean, basically, this series tells you there are a lot of really irresponsible parents in the world.
Right.
That's my takeaway. So they're doing a new one, and it's got that kid from Jojo Rabbit and whatever. And to me, I'm just like, well, this is it might as well be, you know, number 6 of these. Like, they're all the same.
I agree, and I think I agree with Columbus also, where I don't know how the first one works like it does, but it does. And it just turned 30 this week, by the way.
Crazy.
And it's still beloved, and it's run every year, and it's we've done a whole commentary on it. I mean, it's an insane concoction that shouldn't work, and it does. So I just don't understand why you'd even try to do it again, other than, you know, your financial ledger.
Yeah. Well, and we get Disney because... I mean, and Chris Columbus pulled in a bunch of these, like, you might as well just do live-action remakes of Disney cartoons.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah.
We get why Disney does it, because they're viewing it from it's an IP, you know?
It's an IP, yeah.
That people know. But I feel like at this point, it's like, well, this is the game.
This is the game. And then Short Circuit is being remade also, was another story this past week.
Yeah.
Which I sort of get, because I feel like that character is beloved by me because I saw him when I was a kid. And I think he's a really endearing character, but I don't think people know those films. So I'm like, I kind of see it. Like, you can reintroduce this interesting character that maybe is worth getting people to love again.
The thing with Short Circuit is, if you don't make Johnny Five look like Johnny Five, don't even bother.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, bring this all the way back to the Scorpion King. Like, I just thought it's kind of, I don't know. It's just one of those things that maybe there is room to improve on it, right? And then I don't remember it being particularly beloved to begin with, but
I mean, here's what I'm guessing happened, because Dwayne Johnson is involved as a producer.
Right.
He's not going to star in this thing.
Right.
So, you know, Universal probably came to him and they're like, hey, you know, we've been like wiping our ass with this IP for like 20 years. Why don't we kind of zazz it up and let's just put your name on it, and then you can get a paycheck out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, is anyone interested in this? The only way somebody would be interested in this is if Dwayne Johnson were to star in it.
I agree.
Right. You're like, oh, here's another musclehead shooting arrows or whatever the hell, you know? I mean, come on. Right? I mean, does anybody care?
I don't write us. Maybe someone grew up with this.
There's a bunch of Evolution fans out there, so you never truly know.
Yeah. I just found it surprising that out of all the things that is in there in the IP bag, I was like, oh, really?
I mean, here's Dwayne Johnson's statement that his lawyer wrote. The Scorpion, right? I mean, come on. The Scorpion King was my very first role ever on the silver screen, and I'm honored and excited to reimagine and deliver this cool mythology to a whole new generation.
So says I, The Rock. Signed, The Rock.
Right? I mean, come on.
Dictated,
it's like,
not read. Yeah.
It's literally like he has to read that before they hand him his check, you know?
Yes, yeah. Right.
My prediction is that this movie will not be made, by the way. But
really? Oh, okay.
I'm going to go out on that limb. But my record is not great for making those predictions. so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Let's take another little short break. We'll come back, talk some Star Wars, and then wrap things up. And we are back, and Brian, we were about to talk about Star Wars news, but this story just broke as we are doing this thing.
Yeah, this is kind of big news. We got to talk about this.
So we were just talking about how the film industry has been completely impacted by COVID and how things are being shuffled left, right, and center. And the expectation was that Wonder Woman 1984 would open in theaters this year. And then the expectation was it would probably not open in theaters this year.
Yeah, it was one of those major releases that kept getting kicked down the street, right? And then eventually landing on Christmas Day. But as we saw, Disney decided that they were not going to release Soul, or Disney Pixar, into theaters, and they just relented and said, all right, Christmas Day, this is going to come out on Disney+. But Wonder Woman stood firm on Christmas Day, and I think a lot of people are wondering if that was actually going to hold. But...
And the answer is they are going to hold. It will debut in theaters on Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. But I think the more relevant part of that statement is what comes after the ... which is
exactly.
It will also debut on Christmas Day on HBO Max.
Which is crazy. I mean, it's been a whole gamut of different experiments, I think, happening this year. Right, where you had smaller comedies like King of Staten Island, right? You know, these Universal movies, where these weren't like enormous $200 million plus blockbusters. They were, movies that would have come out this summer, but maybe the studio didn't want to sit on them for a year, so they put them out on video on demand with like a $20 charge, right? And then you had Tenet, which was like, they're like, we're coming out in theaters, hell or high water, and that proved to be, I don't know if I can use the word profitable, but it did okay worldwide. It did okay. I don't know that it's.
I mean, it did not. Yet, but it did not come anywhere near expectations
or hopes.
Right?
Yeah, But I think Wonder Woman was the one. I think we even mentioned it on this podcast where we said, if you're really looking for a movie to try to get people to come to theaters, this seems like the one that you could get the most amount of people to potentially show up for. But they, and then they kept asking, Patty Jenkins would have to keep responding to questions saying, no, we're holding out for theaters. But here we are. This is going to come out in theaters overseas, and I guess where available in the U.S., but if you want, you can beam this in your own living room on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Well, and here's the statement from Patty Jenkins. She said this on Twitter. She says, the time has come. At some point, you have to choose to share any love and joy you have to give over everything else. We love our movie as we love our fans, so we truly hope that our film brings a little bit of joy and reprieve to all of you this holiday season. Watch it in theaters where it is made safe to do so. and available in the safety of your home on HBO Max, where it is not. Happy holidays to all of you. We hope you enjoy our film as much as we enjoyed making it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brian, just being candid here, this is Warner Brothers throwing in the towel and saying...
I was going to say, I guess what I was saying very long-windedly was, I mean, this is the biggest concession so far.
Yeah. This is not Trolls World Tour.
No, or like King of Staten Island or Bill and Ted. And, you know,
yeah.
This is like a huge, huge movie. And all the huge movies, it seemed like were standing their ground. And this is the first one that was like, well, let's just call it what it is and let's get this movie to people. Now, and it's not even going to have as far as we know, a charge like Mulan did, right? Which you had to have Disney Plus, and in addition to that, pay $30 to view it. As far as we know, you only have to have HBO Max to watch this.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I said this when I first heard that this was being mulled maybe a week or so ago. I said that I would prefer that they wait as long as they need to be able to show it in theaters. But if they're looking to goose subscriptions to HBO Max, this is a pretty good way to do it, right?
I was going to say, because it feels like the top streamers, as far as I understand it, are Netflix at very, very, very ahead of the pack, and then Disney Plus, and then I'm not quite sure how it falls, but it seems like, I mean, this could do a lot, like you say, to like goose the subscription count.
I mean, this is a movie unlike any other up to this point that's been released straight to streaming, even with that theatrical window. And so yes, you will absolutely, I guarantee HBO Max is absolutely ecstatic over this.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is like $1 billion movie.
Easily, right?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I think in terms of theatrical distribution, this is absolutely disastrous.
Yeah.
I don't see other... Like, if we are now entering the straight-to-streaming model for these types of movies, these types of movies aren't going to be around for much longer.
I know. You know, it makes me think also, though, is I don't know when this is going to be, but once theaters, it becomes feasible, and they never opened in LA County. But once they are opened again, I would be ecstatic to watch this movie on a big screen. So I mean, that fever for that is still there for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the implications of this are going to be long lasting.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have to, you know, I think we said this before, but like the fact that Disney Plus is releasing Soul without that $30 surcharge, to me says that experiment backfired in terms of Mulan.
Yeah. I would love to know what that discussion was, though, because I mean, I'm sure it did okay, but what did they have to lose, really? Like, it was... What's the alternative, right? Like releasing it without that extra money? I mean, they made money that they would not have made otherwise. I wonder, or maybe it turned people off. I mean,
think about it. If you already have people subscribing to Disney Plus and you're telling them for $30 more you get this thing, how many of those people were like, you know what, I'm good?
Yeah.
Especially when it's like, well, if I just wait a couple months, I'll be able to watch it anyway.
Right.
Versus just making it value added, included in your subscription, and now for people who don't have a subscription, there's that much more incentive to get one.
You're making me think too, and this is just can't happen at this point. But if somehow theaters were more prepared for this and they had streaming services, right?
Yeah, right.
Like if there was an AMC service and there was a Regal service and a whatever, I would pay like $30 for Wonder Woman.
Good call. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So that
I'm gonna go back in time and do that.
I know. That's
Hold
right. on. we got to just connect with ourselves in the past, like in frequency.
Yes.
Get this all figured out. The other thing is, you have to imagine that Black Widow is suddenly being strongly considered for this scenario.
Yeah. Like, oh, is this what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So,
do you think they try to charge for that though?
I don't know. I truly don't know, because the subscription model, I mean, it only makes sense to keep adding content if you keep growing your base, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, at some point you're going to max out how many people want to subscribe to this thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. I see what you're saying.
Like, I don't know. Like, if they were going to release it to streaming, honestly, if the idea was to monetize it, I would have said put this on VOD
Yeah.
for $30.
Right.
I think enough people would pay for it. So again, it feels to me like this is Warner Brothers making a corporate calculation that they're gonna take a hit on this in the short term, but it's gonna help out HBO Max, and in the long term, they'll make that money back in terms of people purchasing the movie on physical media or what have you.
Right, and you're making me remember a story from a couple of weeks back where Disney said they're shifting their most focus to streaming.
Yeah, that's right.
Which makes me think then, like you said, that Black Widow must not be far behind.
I think it's only a matter of time. This movie cost $200 million, by the way.
Yeah.
$200 million plus potentially another 150 for P&A.
Yeah, months ago I remember she was on like a bag of Doritos, and I was like, oh. Yeah, so they couldn't have stopped that, but
So the
money
point
spent.
The point is, I mean, they are not going to make that back on streaming. I mean, they're just not. In the short term. In the short term, I mean.
Yeah, well, that reminds me. There was the discussions about James Bond possibly going to a streamer, but they were wanting $600 million for that privilege.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder how much HBO Max paid for this, I suppose.
I mean, it's all like internal, same corporation, right?
I mean, it is. I don't know. But sometimes, a studio can own a stage and they'll still charge a production for rental of that stage and keep paying themselves.
Yeah, I wonder how that works. I
don't know. This is going to be a book someday.
oh, you know it. Yeah. I think the thought that I have is HBO Max also has the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Mm-hmm. And they are sort of becoming, they've got other DC Comics stuff in the pipeline. So if this is a way to sort of send eyeballs in that direction, right? They have like a Batman TV series. You heard about this, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's set in the world of the Matt Reeves movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're doing some interesting stuff. So again, if you're HBO Max, this is all upside.
Oh yeah.
But if you are for them. Yeah, but if you are Warner Brothers overall corporate, I wonder how you end up on the other side of profitability with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from a purely mercenary, selfish point of view, we'll have a new movie to talk about in like a month and change. So that's nice.
I'm excited to watch it for sure. Yeah.
Well, so this will be a developing story, I suppose. I have a feeling when next we record our next regular show, we'll have more news on this if there is any.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take another break. We'll come back and then we will have that Star Wars discussion, which we did so breathlessly promise earlier. Okay, we are back, and I hear that music again. Yeah, that's nice music. I like that.
Yeah, let's just take a minute.
Have you been watching The Mandalorian this season, by the way?
Yeah, I am all caught up.
Did you see the controversy about Baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Dude, Brian,
in quotes, yeah.
Oh, God, there are days when I'm just tired of everything. and so for those of you who don't know, in the second episode of The Mandalorian this season, you have the Mandalorian. He has to transport this woman. She's like a frog lady. She's got these unfertilized eggs, but she's got to get them back to her husband so they can fertilize them and have children. Okay, So baby Yoda, the child, this adorable little muppet, he keeps reaching into this bucket of eggs and like eating the eggs, and the Mandalorian's like, hey, stop that, and he's just be like, oh no, don't, she needs those eggs, right? And I don't know about you, but I had the reaction of saying, huh, amusing, and then I got on with my life.
Yeah, I was kind of like, huh, gross.
Yeah.
Like that was just okay.
But what do we find out? Oh no, this is disrespectful to endangered species because of Baby Yoda is eating these eggs, and that's treating it humorously.
I didn't even get that far into why it was controversial. I just saw the headlines and was like, not today.
So I genuinely, I want to be sensitive, right? So when people say, look, this is disrespectful to people who have trouble, getting fertilized, and it's something very serious, and it's not something you make a joke out of. You know what? I genuinely, truly, I am sensitive to that struggle.
Entirely.
This is an alien frog lady who has, I mean, you know what I mean? The walk to get from point A to point B involves a sheer drop.
Yeah.
So I see articles on like Collider and whatever, like, oh, this was meant to be funny. Can you believe this freaking bullshit? That's the tone.
Do you feel though they woke up on whatever day, Thursday, and we're like, oh man, I got a deadline. I got nothing. Like, do you feel, like a lot of these things, I almost feel like they're like generating a story because they have to have a story.
Yes, I'm certain of that.
Yeah.
But even still, right? It's just like, it just makes me hate everything. That's what I've and Brian, I'm not a hateful person. I'm full of love.
No. I know you are.
I'm like Mr. Burns on the weekends.
Right,
I bring peace and love, right? But I
right, by the way, David Duchovny.
Yeah, there you go.
That episode, yeah.
But by the way, my kids had seen that episode before, but I put it on again now that they have like the frame, and now they think it's just absolutely hilarious.
That's wow! It worked all over again.
Exactly. But I read this headline and my shoulders slumped, and I'm like, I think it's going to be a long day. It's 8 a.m. It's going to be a long day when I read that.
I think I've gotten better at picking and choosing what I read.
Yeah.
Like if I, some things obviously are important and affect the world, and those are matters worth keeping up on. And then I'll see this, and I'll see even like, can you believe people are saying this? And I'm like,
nope.
yeah, no.
Not today, Satan.
or yes, I can. And then I just keep scrolling,
But regardless, so we briefly canceled Baby Yoda.
Right. Oh, but then they made up for it in the next episode.
Exactly, right?
Almost as if they knew.
Almost as if there is a long-term plan. But this last episode, which as of our recording, we're 3 episodes in, they introduced the character Bo-Katan Kryze, who is from the cartoon series.
Yeah, I didn't know that until afterward when I was reading about it.
It's actually really cool. So she was introduced, she's a Mandalorian, she was introduced in Clone Wars, and then we see her again in Rebels.
Oh, okay.
But the cool thing is that Katie Sackhoff, who played her in the episode, she actually does her voice in the animation.
Oh, that's cool.
That's kind of neat, right?
Yeah.
So it seems as if we are headed towards seeing Ahsoka Tano in either this next episode or at some point before the season ends. And we've talked about it before. She's become this very, very popular character in the broader Star Wars canvas. I mean, as far as I know, she's going to be played by Rosario Dawson.
Oh yeah.
I think we talked about it before. So I, you know me, I'm a fan of the animated stuff. So anything that ties that in closer to quote unquote real Star Wars, I'm all about it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know some people were bummed when Lucasfilm decided to swat away certain mythologies that people were really attached to, but in this moment it seems like they're embracing all the different media, right, and making it all of one piece, and that's got to be pretty exciting for the people who are endeared to all the other things in the periphery. Well, that sounds really condescending, but you know what I'm saying. Like the movies were always the center of the universe for this,
exactly,
and the cartoons were things you could also enjoy. But now Lucasfilm is like, no, these things all belong together. And
it's pretty cool. What Lucasfilm decided, I think it was like 2013. They're like, everything before this point doesn't count. So
yeah,
as of now, the only extant canon is the films and at the time Clone Wars, right? And then Rebels. Basically, they were like, everything from this point forward, quote unquote, counts. And I think we talked about it initially. It's like, oh wow, everything counts. And then after a little while, you're like, yeah, I mean, sure, I guess everything counts, but it does it really? Does issue 47 of Marvel's comic book have any bearing on anything ever? No,
Right.
And so we're just back where we were. like all the novels and shit and whatever. Like, you know, it's all, come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I sound cynical today, Brian?
I was just going to say, well, we were saying during the commercial break, we were just like, wow, we're just kind of down on everything today.
This is what happens when we record on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah, who knew?
It just messes up our rhythms. Something's off, yeah. But regardless, George Lucas, he's got some new stuff to say.
Yeah, so you were telling me about this. I unfortunately, I haven't read this personally, but there's a new book. Now, this includes interviews with him where he's...
Yeah, it's like a big old thing called the Star Wars Archives, 1999 to 2005. So basically the prequel era.
Okay, wait. So there was a book previous to this, then I imagine, for the original trilogy. Is this that humongous Star Wars book that I saw a couple months ago?
So there's a book called Star Wars Archives, you know, whatever it is, 1977 to 1983. And yeah, this thing is just a behemoth of a thing.
Yeah, okay. So this is a follow-up to that about the prequels.
Yeah, I mean this the what do you call it? This new one is like $200.
Okay, yeah, okay. That sounds like the thing.
It is like 600 page. I mean, you drop this on somebody, they will die. You will go to jail for murder. You know?
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, it sounds really interesting. It's all the, you know, stuff that went into the prequels, the now beloved prequels, by the way, worth pointing out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he talked about the fact that he had intended to come back and, you know, here's the thing about George Lucas. What you realize is basically everything he says is full of shit at some point or another. Because all throughout the prequels, well, I'm done now. You know, there's not going to be any more because I'm not going to make any more. Remember he said that?
Yeah.
Liar. So here's what he says about...
You've made me snort twice during this episode.
I'm like Anakin in episode 3. Liar!
Liar!
So it says here, he had been considering returning to the franchise, but the lingering realization that producing a new trilogy of Star Wars movies would take at least another decade of his life meant that he ultimately passed the torch with Lucasfilm sale to Sony. So here's what he was thinking about. I had planned for the first trilogy to be about the father, the second trilogy to be about the son, and the third trilogy to be about the daughter and the grandchildren. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 would take ideas from what happened after the Iraq War. Okay, you fought the war, you killed everybody, now what are you going to do? Rebuilding afterwards is harder than starting a rebellion or fighting the war. When you win the war and you disband the opposing army, what do? The stormtroopers would be like Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist fighters that joined ISIS and kept on fighting. The stormtroopers refuse to give up when the Republic wins. So I'm sure this would have been made and gotten no controversy at all, and they would be universally beloved, and that would be the world we live in right now, right?
Right.
Now, what he says actually
that's how it goes with Star Wars.
That's how things go with Star Wars, exactly. Baby Yoda can't eat a goddamn egg without people shitting their pants.
Right.
No, that actually sounds like pretty interesting. I don't know about you.
I agree with you. I like that. It doesn't sound... I think, obviously, we've been very, very critical of the prequels in the past, but I have come around to appreciate, despite their flaws, their new stories.
Yes.
Right? And I think the valid criticism of the sequel trilogy is that they seem to be repeating a lot of beats that have come before them. And hearing this, I'm like, yeah, I would kind of like to see a whole new story and not another Death Star. And I'm curious.
The realization I have had about the sequel films is that you can watch Star Wars 1 through 6 and have a complete experience that the sequels have no impact on whatsoever.
Right.
They don't do anything to enrich the previous films.
Right.
In my opinion. I don't know. You tell me if I'm wrong.
No, and I think part of that probably comes from fear, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you're George Lucas, you're like, well, it's my story. I'm going to tell what I want to tell. And you'll either get on board or you'll get on board 10 years later,
Right.
And I think when you have these people come in and they're taking the reins from George Lucas, you're probably trembling and being like, okay, what worked before? Mm-hmm. Right? And you're thinking differently than Lucas would have, who would have just done whatever he wanted to do. So it's understandable what happened, or at least I'm not saying that I like it I wish they had been a little bit bolder, but I can understand why it happened, right?
Yeah. So I mean, and by the way, this year marks the 5th anniversary of The Force Awakens. I would love to do a commentary track for that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been long enough. Now that the films are over, we have a little bit more context. I think that might be fun to do before the year is out.
I agree.
But yeah, and I'm not anti-sequels, but I'm also cognizant enough of like big picture. They're it's like fine, but what I get out of those original 3, that's yet to be matched for me, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But in regards to the book, they talk about the fact that when Lucas told Fox, because remember Fox was releasing those movies, about how it was the prequels were going to be about Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader, they were very excited. And he's like, and by the way, he's going to be 10 years old. They were like, what? You're going to destroy the franchise. You're going to destroy everything, Lucas explains. He told people at Lucasfilm he was making a movie that nobody wants to see, but would rather do that than telling the same story over and over. I feel like that's just like aimed at Disney, like as he glares in their general direction.
That's a good point.
Right?
That's funny.
Now, that being said, I think the critique of Anakin being that young was well-founded because, clearly in the movie we got, that was a weak spot.
Yeah. I still, even back then when people were critical of it, I was like, no, I can see it. I can see a version of that. Where he is a boy
good in him.
and
I can feel it.
Yeah. But I can imagine a version of like, what circumstances did this person come from? Like there's something there for sure. But I think a lot of factors came into play and it wasn't quite successful, but
yeah. Well, there we go. I think so George Lucas is out there. His ideas for the sequel trilogy will be forever unfollowed up on until we get like a comic book series that's like George Lucas's episode. Like they did the original Star Wars adaptation. Where they'll see expression at some point down the line. You just know it.
I really, really hope so. I would love to know. I would really love to read whatever outline or treatment he has.
You know how I know this, Brian? Because remember, Disney bought his treatment for the sequels. Right. So that's sitting in a Disney vault somewhere.
Right.
They're gonna make money for it.
Oh, Sure. Yeah. Well, I would be all in. Even if it was just like you say, like a comic adaptation, which was fascinating, by the way. I think it's called The Star Wars.
That's right.
Where they took his first draft of Star Wars and
you told me. I never read it, but you told me about that. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It's funny we talk about how just Lucas seems to just spin things in whatever direction the wind is blowing that day. The truth, and it's I can sort of understand what he's thinking because in that first draft of the script there are elements from Return of the Jedi in it. So, like, them blowing up the Death Star was the first act, right? And then the Endor fight is kind of the third act. So I think he probably did have a jumble of ideas in his head, but he obviously didn't have all the connections made quite yet.
Yeah.
So
there you go. At some point, if we're seeing the Zack Snyder Justice League cut, right, the thing that nobody said would come out, except me, by the way. I just want to say, from the beginning, I've said we would probably see it.
See, you make bold predictions, and sometimes maybe they don't always come true. But
I take
bolder
those
ones,
swings.
You should be better rewarded for when they do come true.
I take a swing, baby. You know what?
Yeah.
It's out in the world, I think at some point we will probably be old men in the nursing home. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
You know what they're releasing today, finally? It's a holographic image representing George Lucas's ideas for Episode 7.
Stick it into my veins.
I put on like the VR goggles on your head.
Yeah.
As you just slowly drift away into the great beyond.
Kind of beautiful.
And with that, everybody, I think that wraps up this discussion.
Yeah.
We went to either a dark or beautiful place, depending on how you...
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, it's all about that. We'll be back next week with our commentary track for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited.
That's going to be a fun one. So we're coming up with that. And also, coming next month, we have a commentary for Tremors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and that's per popular demand. So we're happy to offer that one up.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, Brian, if people are listening or looking out for you, where can they find you? They should look out for you, like on the street, just in case you're walking and they don't hit you.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that. But certainly wave. I would love to wave. I will wave back.
Wave back.
Still writing for Puppy Dog Pals on Disney Channel, Disney Junior, and Disney Plus. And I want to call out an episode that just aired. It was a Thanksgiving episode, and I did not write it. My friend Jessica Carlton wrote it, and it is quite lovely. It's about Huey Lewis plays a junkyard dog, and they want to get this special treat that his dad enjoyed when he was a kid. And then, so we do, Chi McBride plays his dad, and it's just lovely. It's very sweet. There's a song in there about sort of taking a moment when you're freaking out and just pausing and appreciating what's around you. And it's actually kind of almost brought a tear to my eye. So I texted her immediately when it was over and said that was just a really special thing. So for people who have kids, I think they're going to enjoy it. And even if you don't have kids, I think that episode in particular, people will really enjoy.
And I just want to point out how cool it is to me that our friend Sean Coyle, who's executive producer of the show, gets to put Huey Lewis and Chi McBride. If you know Sean Coyle, if you know anything about him, he lives and breathes Huey Lewis.
Yes, he always has. This isn't like something that's like a little part of his life that kind of fluctuates. I mean, as long as I've known him, I've associated him with Huey Lewis.
Yeah. And so then it's like, I want to find a way for Huey Lewis to be on the show that I work on. And gosh darn it, it happens.
He did it. And there was one year, it was his birthday, and the casting director arranged for Huey to sing Happy Birthday to him.
Yes.
And I was like, I had the same thought. I was like, you did it.
You know what's funny? Sean sent me that video.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is what they sent. And I sent back, on my phone, like a handwritten thing. It just said, "You are Sean Coyle."
Right. Right.
And Sean is a big fan of the TV show Hawaii Five-0, on which Chi McBride is like one of the main roles. And he's like, I want to try to get him on the show. And he did it.
And he did it.
It's amazing, So, man, I love hearing that. I love hearing that story, and I love hearing that on the show. So,
and he's obviously a huge Ghostbusters guy too. And the only, I don't tend to go to a lot of the voice recordings, but the one I did go to was with Ernie Hudson.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just Sean manifesting all of his.
Steven Weber also.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, if you're looking for me, you can find me at my website, ZackisCorner.com. That's ZAKIS Corner. I'm not as active on there, but you can certainly find me on Twitter. Also, look at the San Francisco Chronicle. This week, I have an article looking at the Star Wars Easter eggs in The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
So that's something all you nerds will probably like, I guess.
I'm listening. Yeah. What is that out yet?
I think by the end of the week it'll be up. So by the time people are listening to this show, it should be up. Yeah.
Cool.
And like I said, come back here next time. If you like what we're doing, please email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com or hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. Let us know what you think. Let us know what movies you'd like us to do commentaries on. And as always, please go to iTunes and leave a star rating, leave a review. Every little bit helps. And with that, on behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zach Yasan. This has been Movie Film 212. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome, friends.